I am Vinnie Tortorich, folks. Your good intentions have been stolen. But don't worry, I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. Just like my guest today. Um, this woman, she doesn't know this yet, but we may have met before, and we're going to find out if we've met before. Um, I'm sure she has a lot to say about health and fitness. That's why we're putting her on the Friday show, the Luminary show. That's where we get the people who can teach us a little something about health and fitness. She, her claim to fame, well, I'm sure she's got a lot of claims to fame, but she first came to us in the late 1980s. A little show called American Gladiators. If you're old enough, it took the world by storm. I'm talking about Ice Ice Baby. I'm talking about Lori Fetrick. How you doing, Lori?
That was a great intro. Thank you very much. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Lori, the only thing I know about you, and it's all I need to know about you, is that we're both near the same age. Now, the part that pisses me off is that I look 61 and you look like you're turning 35 next month.
Oh my God, thank you. I'll hold at 40. I mean, 40 is a good number.
I mean, what the hell? I mean, and I can say, oh, come on, she's got filters and 20 things going on over there. But I looked up a few photos of you and I'm like, damn, man, this woman. So there are obviously some secrets. There's some genetics there, and we're going to talk all about that. But being 60, that's the first thing I want to discuss because I always feel like people our age, our generation, I've always called us the nowhere generation, right? We're nowhere. What are we? We're not really boomers, even though they
I
call
know
us boomers.
we're on that cusp. It's a really weird thing because I looked up the same thing. You're right, we're not really boomers.
Right.
And then what's the next generation? What is it? Generation X?
Well,
All
well,
of so many damn generations.
so I don't even know what they call them anymore, but let me
I
give you
know.
examples. At one point back in the 80s, there was a show about yuppies. I can't remember the name of it, like 30 something or something like that, or
Mhm.
some show like that. And it was a bunch of people whining about their BMW not starting and trying to join a wine club. And I'm like sitting there going, okay, I'm in my mid 20s when this is going on. It's like, I'm not a yuppie. I'm not part of that.
Yeah.
That was the boomers, right? That was the boomer. We were right below that. So here's the way I started figuring this out. Madison Avenue never marketed to us, right? Because that's
Mhm.
what determines a generation. It's who are they going to market to next? Does that make
Correct.
sense? And I think they
Absolutely.
looked at us and they said, it's about a 3-year period right there. Let's just move past that and get to the next
Just
one,
skip it.
right?
Just skip it.
Just there's 3 or 4 years and they're all wearing 501s and Hanes white t-shirts. Just let them
Yes.
wear that, right?
Yes.
Does
Yes.
have you ever thought of it in those terms before right now?
I have not thought of it in those terms. That's an interesting perspective of that. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You kind of our generation, there feels like there's a little misstepped kind of skip. And I never looked at it that way, but that's accurate. That's very accurate.
Oh, I see and hear everything. That's my curse in life that I can't, my ears to the ground. I'm like, I should have been an American Indian. My ears always to the ground. I'm always listening for what's coming. And it's like, wow, we were never marketed to.
Yeah,
We don't
no,
have a car. We don't have a
no,
car,
mm-mm.
right?
No, you're
We had to glom on to other cars. We looked at the muscle cars before us from 1968, 1969.
Weren't those the best though?
Yeah, you see, you're still into it, right? Like I
Yeah.
just saw your face light up. You're like, oh my God, I still
Oh,
want one of those.
I do. I would love a 68, 69 Camaro. I had the 74 Camaro.
I had a 1980 Camaro. Yeah. Yeah. It was like, we were never marketed to. So what did we do? What did we
We
do as a generation?
you know, I think we made our own in a way, you know, because we are like one of the best generations out there. I really believe that.
And we don't even have a generation. And
Exactly.
let me tell you what we did. And you're going to, when I say this, you're going to think through, you're going to think about yourself first, because we always think about ourselves first.
Right.
And then you're going to think about your friends who are also between, say, 59 and 62, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all
Okay.
quietly somehow successful. Like we just got on with our shit, right? We just,
Say that again. You broke up. We're all what?
we're all quietly successful, right?
All
As a
right, you
generation.
froze.
Oh, you're frozen too, but I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hmm. Having such a good conversation here, and ice froze on me. Get it? Other than that, you could cut the rest of that last minute out. So what I was saying is we are quietly successful as a generation,
Yes.
right? We don't
Great.
really wear it. We don't drive it, right?
Right.
We just, do you drive a fancy car? What do you drive?
I do. I drive right now Lexus RC 350.
Okay, that's fairly fancy, but
Yeah.
you don't have a Corvette or I had a Corvette at one time, so I
I
guess
did at one point in time. Yeah, when my Gladiator years, I actually went and bought a brand new Corvette, like my second year on Gladiators.
I've over the years I've had five, and I love them. People
I
go, "Oh, come on,
love
it's an
it.
old man car." It's like, no, it's not. It's a vet. See,
It's a
that's our
vet.
generation, right?
Yes.
It's like we
Yes.
love that car.
I want one. I want the new one. I mean, but what are they like 100 grand right now? They're stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy money. I had the last generation right before this one, and that thing was great. That was, it equaled a lot of the just supercars. I had the Grand Sport, the extra wide, big.
Those are
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, love that
I
car.
could see you in that.
Yeah, because I'm an old guy in that car, right?
Yes.
You know,
We always call it the midlife crisis car for men.
yeah, but look, I mean, it's what we did.
Exactly.
So I feel we may have met, and I'm going to tell you where. And this is when I first realized the Gladiators taught me a lot. I got to LA in 1991, and I was a fitness trainer down in New Orleans that did really well. And I ended up training a couple of actors, and that led me to go to Hollywood, right? But I didn't have more than a couple of clients. I couldn't make ends meet. Um, so an actress friend of mine said to me, "You should be a model." I was
Oh,
like,
interesting.
"It's like a model." So I was 29 at the time. It's like, aren't models like 16-year-old, like stick figures and the whole thing? She's like, no, this friend saw my abs and she was like, no, this is modeling. You can model in LA. Your abs would bring in a lot of money, right?
Oh, interesting.
So I was really ripped out all the time. And I was like, how does this work? And she gave me the name of a couple of agencies. And the first one I walked into, I just walked in. I was as green as a pool table and twice as square. And I just walked in and said, hey, I want to do some modeling. And they were like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. And I was like, how does it work? It's like, well, you come back on Wednesday and we'll take a look at you. And just when this woman was kicking me out of the agency, this woman looks out of her office and she sees me and she goes, excuse me, come in here. And she was the owner of Irina Kamal of
Hmm.
modeling agency. And she goes, have you modeled before? I said, absolutely not. She goes, do you have any photos? No, I do not. And she goes, what are you doing here? I said, well, my friend told me that they use fitness people in a lot of like beer commercials, which seems counterintuitive, but and this sort of thing. And I need work. I said, I'm not here for any kind of glamour shit. If you can put me to work, please do. Uh, she put me to work almost right away. I didn't even have photos.
Nice.
And she was sending me out for jobs. Well, one of the first jobs I got as you remember, in 1991 or maybe 92, this was 92 now, the infomercial world was huge.
Yes.
And I became the king of the infomercial, right?
Did you do a lot of Guthrie Ranker? I remember that company did a ton of fitness
It,
infomercials.
I've actually had deals with Guthrie Ranker down the road. We could get into that, but it would bore the audience.
I know it would. Yeah, because they're like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, Guthrie Ranker was the biggest player. And so one of the ones I did was I got, just like every other job, I got called in to do a job, and it was called the Gladiator Body Plus Fitness Machine.
Oh, interesting.
And they had two of the female gladiators come in, maybe two or three, and they had two or three of the men come in. And I was wondering why I was there. It's like, well, these people are very fit. Why do they need me? And the reason being is they just needed you guys to run out. The thing, they obviously they sponsored this product, the
Right.
Gladiator Body Plus Fitness Machine. It was an all-in-one encompassing anyone can put it in their home, this sort of thing. You guys were too buff. They wanted a lean version of that with ripped abs. And
Just another one of the products that we never got any money from.
that's the point I want to bring up.
Yep.
So,
Not a dime.
all right. So as you know, infomercials were always buyout. So my thing was, probably $3,000-$4,000.
And
But
you got paid more than we did.
that's the point I want to make, Lori.
Yeah.
I'm there, and you guys have to be there all day too.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember one of the people there, her name was Lace. I could not tell you her name.
Marissa Pere.
So we're sitting backstage, and, I'm waiting to do my parts where I'm doing the machine, right, and flexing my abs, and they have me all oiled up and the whole thing. And I'm hanging out with the gladiators. And I was jealous of I was like, these mother effers are making bank. That show has been on for years. They're making bank. I wonder what they're making. I'm getting like 3,500. And by the way, on infomercials, if you remember right, you wanted them to go past 8 hours because then you got time and a half. And then after 12 hours, you got double time. So, and they would always run long. So that's why you would take a $3,000 day. By the time you left there, you made $6,000, but you stayed all night. And I got to talking to Lace, and I'm like, geez, she goes, what are you getting paid for this? And I said, nowhere near what you guys are getting paid. I said, I'm getting like $3,500. And she was like, you're what? I said, I know it's nothing, but I mean, I need the money. And she was like, yeah, we're not getting paid. We just have to be here as part of our contract.
Yep.
What's the truth behind it? I mean, I was like, wait a minute.
100%. No, it was 100%. She was absolutely accurate. In our contract, we had to do promotional things. There's no secret. I mean, even on the documentary that we did, Muscles and Mayhem this year on Netflix, I mean, that thing, we were in the top 10 for the first 3 weeks of Netflix, and people were watching this. And they talk about it very, very exclusively when it comes to, we didn't get paid for anything. We didn't get paid for merchandising rights. We didn't get paid for those type of appearances when they had all these different, exercise machines and everything else. That was just part of our contract. So there's no secret. We were the most underpaid show on the air. And yet we were the ones putting our body hitting the floor at risk of injury and everything like that. And yet, we were getting scale at that time from AFTRA. We weren't even a SAG show.
Oh God. So scale after, I'm going to guess $300-$400 a show.
Absolutely. $300-$400 a show with no insurance, by the way. No insurance. We signed our life away, basically. It was really a joke. It was, it was like, hey, do you want to do a show and hit the floor and make no money? And by the way, if you get really super hurt, by the way, you're on your own dime with no insurance. And we're all this little idiots going, yeah, sign me up. I want to do it. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, I used to say, I played college football, D1 college football. And this was in 1981. And when I got there, because I'm a disruptor in life, I make documentaries. Obviously, I'm a disruptor. But back then, I would go, wait a minute, hang on. We put 60,000 asses in seats every Saturday night.
Mhm.
There are TV contracts. We're on television. The guy selling peanuts and beer in the stands, he's got insurance. He's got job security. We don't get paid a dime.
Correct.
Right. We don't get paid a dime. And everybody's like, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. It's like, does anyone see that this is the last form of slavery in America is college athletics? Because the number one, the school's making millions. They're kicking money up to the NCAA, which, by the way, was a 501(c). So they weren't even fucking paying taxes.
Right.
And if we got hurt, it was like, good luck, goodbye. We're going to find another jackass to come in here and break his neck.
And the only thing they can promise you, or not even promise you, is that, oh, by the way, you're going to have all these scouts looking at you, and you might get to be drafted to, the NFL. So it's that.
Lori, no, and Lori, it was worse than that. It was worse than that. They were like, well, you get an education. And it's like, really? Because half these guys can't read. Half the guys on a team, they're functionally illiterate.
Exactly.
You pull these guys out of obscurity. My best friend was closer, a guy named Reggie Reginelli, real name. Sorry, Italians. What can I tell you? Reggie Reginelli was a standout running back on our team. Number 33. Guess what? They would sell tens of thousands of jerseys with number 33 on them. The poster in the bookstore and the posters around the stadium, number 33 running the ball, right? And the whole thing. How much money do you think Reggie got? Zero. And then I'm sitting in a dressing room in Hollywood with a woman calling herself Lace.
Yeah.
And she's explaining to me how she's not getting a dime.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Not a dime. Well, to do that, right?
Oh, I've got something better for you on this one. Check this out. 30 years later, they're still trying to send us cease and desist letters. You cannot use the ICE name. You cannot say American Gladiators. You cannot use this. You cannot. 30 years later.
Wow.
They're still trying to handcuff us. And this is at the point to where now it's like, enough is enough. This is ridiculous. You cannot enforce this pathetic POS of a contract that you gave us. The show's not even on the air. And if anything, it's free marketing for you guys that we're even out there saying that we're former American Gladiators and we're doing, some halfway decent, amazing things out there. And we're keeping your brand alive. And yet you're trying to cease and desist us. It's absolutely redonkulous.
Look, they do it to everyone. They tried to do it to Dwayne Johnson. When he came out of wrestling, he couldn't use the name The Rock.
Right.
Right. And if you remember, Prince had to go by the artist formerly known as Prince just to get out of a contract.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys you're still locked down, but I see you have ICE on your hat. ICE is ubiquitous, right? They can't just take ICE away from you. Right. Exactly. Why can't you call yourself ICE?
Well, not only that, they didn't trademark our names, they didn't do anything like that. So therefore, there's so much out there. There's so much right now that's on the table that we have people fighting for us finally. It's come to the point to where now it's just like, okay, we're fighting this. You cannot prevent us from making a living, just by using the name ICE, Chilling with ICE, my podcast. No, you can't.
Right.
I'm not saying that I don't have a big American Gladiator logo on my hat. You can't take away my past. And that's really what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And look, I want you to know that because I'm a student of life. Whatever I see, I'm like a dog. Once something happens, it's in my head. Mm-hmm. And having that conversation with a woman calling herself Lace. Now I did a few more infomercials, and now I know the people at Guthrie Ranker, right? Wow. Because, by the way, that piece of fitness equipment, that infomercial became They used to give infomercial awards, folks. I'm sorry, that's a fact. It was infomercial of the year. As a matter of fact, it screwed me up because
Oh,
every time I walked in to get another job, people were like, "Oh, Body Plus Fitness guy."
yeah.
I didn't. I barely got work for a year
You were
after that,
typecast at that point. Yeah.
just for that because it was on television all the
Mhm.
time. They sold. God only knows what they sold on your name on
Oh,
Body.
God knows.
On
I mean, they made
Gladiator.
millions and millions and millions of dollars. Yeah.
And I looked at that. Now Guthy Ranker comes to me because I was making my own fitness toys, right?
Hmm.
And I would get them, I would get design patents on them. Now you can only imagine, I was using all my money as a trainer to get design patents. Every time I would make a product, it would cost me between $20,000 and $30,000. And we're talking in the early 1990s. So, that was a shit ton of money, right?
Yeah,
I was putting my
exactly.
money where my mouth was. And whenever they would hand me a contract, I would take it to an attorney because they would say to me, the attorney would say, okay, I cannot allow you to sign this contract. And I would say, tell me why. And it's like, well, first off, they're giving you 3 points. And I
Hmm.
explain what that means. On every dollar they make, you make 3 cents.
Hmm.
Well, that was pretty common, right?
Hmm.
Even Jane Fonda on the Jane Fonda stuff that was infomercial, she was only getting 5 clicks, 5 cents.
I would have been happy with 3 points on any kind of merchandising they did.
Oh, you would have been rich by now. You would have had 3 cars.
Absolutely. But the
Yeah,
problem is that if we didn't sign it, there's going to be another person right down the road that's going to sign it. And they knew that.
right. Well, that's what they would hold that over my head. And then the other thing my attorney would tell me is, you do realize they would own the name Vinnie Tortorich into perpetuity
Forever.
forever. It never, and it's like, and I would say to my attorney, but my name is not worth anything. And he would go, yeah, but if this thing takes off, you can never call yourself Vinnie Tortorich to make money again.
Yeah, it's
Period.
ridiculous.
They will own your name. And he would use Prince as the example, right? So I learned from you guys that you can't do it. As a matter of fact, there's the story about Biggest Loser, right? I got called in on that. And I didn't even go to the audition. It was like, what are they paying? And when they told me what they were paying, I was like, I can't do that. I would literally lose money by going on television, right? I was
Hmm.
making I was making a really comfortable 6-figure income just bebopping around Hollywood. Why would I cut that down by 2/3 to go be on a show that's going to probably not make it? Now, hindsight is 2020, right? What's her name? Jillian Michaels went on and became very wealthy and did really well. But I wouldn't even go to, it was like, look, if you want it, it's your job. You can be the guy on that show. And it's like, no, I can't do it
Right.
because of you guys. Crazy.
I'm glad that we could lay the pavement there for you on what not to do.
I, I can't thank you guys enough, but I feel bad for you guys. So
I'm glad someone came out ahead on it.
are you guys able to make any money on it today, or how does that work? Did you
No,
guys eventually make any money?
no, we never made any. I mean, we made scale. We made, on I don't know, 75,000 a year, maybe if that.
Mm.
Uh, Today it's like, what they're trying to do is not let us do any kind of signings or anything like that to promote ourselves. And so that's what we're fighting right now, you know. It's, I have a children's book coming out and I had to tiptoe around that like you would not believe. It's just insane. So I've got a children's book coming out. It's called Playground Warriors. And then we have an animation following it. And just the contract alone, we had to tippy toe and make sure that there couldn't be anything coming back to me at all. So it's very frustrating. I actually in the children's book, I wanted to call my little character Icicle. I thought, oh my God, how cute is that? And I had every lawyer in the world going, I don't know if I would do that if I were you. They're going to come after you. And it's just like, oh my God, this is ridiculous, you know? So it is what it is, but you know, we're fighting it. We're fighting it. We're fighting it.
It's very sad. Look, I know what signing my wife, you don't know that my wife is a Bond girl. She was in a James Bond movie, and I mean those signings do quite well,
They do very well.
right?
Exactly. So here's the
And
thing.
go
We're
on.
selling, we're not selling the photo. We're selling our autograph. So there's all kinds of ways around it.
But it's crazy that you have to do that. So
I know it's frustrating.
what do you have to do? You have to say, I'm giving you this photo for free. Oh, here's my autograph. Give me $20 or whatever you charge. Or
However they do that. Yeah, exactly. You know, if they came after us, it's ridiculous.
unbelievable.
It is.
And it's just unbelievable. Um,
Exactly.
so what do you do the day after that gig is over with? You know, you're there for 4, 5, 6 years. How many years were you on?
I was actually there for almost 8 years.
Okay, 8 years.
8 years.
Shit beat out of you for 8 years.
Yep.
Any long-term injuries?
You know, I feel them in the morning, you know, my neck is kind of you know, constantly. I have constantly hitting the chiropractor. So I'm sure that I would have been fine, but I actually felt like I came out ahead. There's so many people that did not come out of that show well. I didn't have any ACL tears. I had no major injuries, you know, but now it's just, you know, being 60 over time, the wear and tear on the body, you know, with bodybuilding and lifting, you know, hitting the floor, having people hit me in the head on the joust, it's going to take its toll. So, but you know, with some good anti-inflammatories, eating the right foods, I think I'm doing pretty well, considering.
Do you take actual non-steroidal anti-inflams, or are you taking,
Oh yeah, my
how do you do it?
turmerics, you know, the turmerics, the you know, all my fish oils. I pretty much, I mean, my vitamin regimen is pretty good. You know, my food is pretty good. I try to keep that as clean as I possibly can. I still have some old school, you know, in my head. I
Yeah.
still have some of that old school. You know, I see the poster behind you with the fat, you know, the fat thing. And so it's learning to navigate the waters and what really is the truth about the vitamins and the foods and everything that we eat. So
Yeah, I
that's kind of
find
where,
for me, I have a lot of, my neck is screwed up. My
and you
back,
froze
everything.
again.
No, I can still hear you. Can you hear me? Mm. All right, folks, we're going to live through this freezing. There she is. Are you back, Lori? She froze again. While she's frozen, I'm going to tell you guys about Villa Capelli olive oil. Villa Capelli olive oil
There
is,
we go. You're back.
all right, hang on. Villa Capelli olive oil is the best olive oil on the
Yeah.
planet.
No, you're gone
Um,
again.
hang on, Laurie. I'm just doing an ad here. You know, we've been using Villa Capelli around here for a long time. If you want to get the best olive oil on the planet, go to vinnietortorich.com, or you can go straight to villacapelli.com. Click through the banner. When you get to checkout, put in promo code Vinnie, VINNIE, and that will get you 10% off. If you spend more than $125 after the discount, you will also get free shipping, which means a lot when you're shipping olive oil. Villa Capelli olive oil. Look, we were just talking to Lori about inflammation and feeling it in the morning. And olive oil is one of those things, if you're taking the real stuff, will help you. Lori, are you back? Can we
Yeah,
hear?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm
Um,
listening.
I often find when it comes to inflammation, I take everything too, right? As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, my vitamin company makes a krill oil, an omega-3 fatty acid that really helps with inflammation. But the thing I tell everyone is you can take, but it's what you don't eat is what can really help you, right? You cut down on things that cause inflammation, like grains and seed oils, right?
Mhm.
The-
Right.
all of this stuff seems to get you a lot further down the road with not feeling anything, more so than even what you take. And then on top of that, if you take things like omega-3, you take a lot of vitamin D3 with K and all this kind of stuff, then then you can move ahead, right?
Yeah, my doctor put me on some vitamin D3. It's interesting, probably when I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. You
Yeah.
know, she was like, you know, you need to take 5,000 a day, you know,
Yeah.
5,000 IUs. So yeah, I've been doing that forever, it seems like, but when it comes to the foods, what is your take on meat?
I eat meat every single day of my life. I eat
Okay.
animal protein every single day. I still eat somewhere between 3 and 5 eggs, maybe 6 eggs a day with the yolk. I don't throw
Hmm.
the yolks out. I'm not going to throw out the most important part of an egg. Um, and fish. I eat a ton of fish, and I
Okay.
always have. Well, what about you? Where are you on animal protein?
I do. I eat a ton of lean turkey meat, chicken breast, every once in a while. I'm not a huge red meat eater, but I will eat it. I'll grab myself a hamburger once every couple weeks. Steak, okay. I eat fish. I do eat my salmons, not as much as I should. But it's interesting. Yeah, I'm watching a documentary right now. As a matter of fact, You Are What You Eat, and they're taking that twin study and they're doing the carnivore diet versus the vegan diet. I mean, the vegetarian diet. So it's just really interesting how, throughout time, so much information, so much changes. One year it's do this, do that. Oh, don't do that anymore. That was bad.
Right.
I mean, it's just this up and down roller coaster to where I think the natural, mindset of people are just like, oh my God, who the hell do I believe anymore? What do I eat? What is good for me? What is not good for me? The one thing that I have basically, it's kind of like really the mindset is, look, don't eat anything frozen or out of a can. you
Right.
know, it's like eat as natural as you possibly can, your fruits, your vegetables, your meats, eat that kind of thing. And that's where it's like the natural, everyday person can go, okay, I can wrap my head around that. I know a lot of people did the keto diet. The fats. Okay, so my old mindset back in the bodybuilder days is, oh my God, take all the fats out of your diet completely, 100%.
Right.
You know, and that was so bad for us. That was so bad. But I didn't know any different because back then that's what was being pushed, you know.
Well, it's interesting because I walked into a gym. Folks, Lori knows nothing about me. We just met. I walked into a gym in 1970. Think about that. I was 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
Wrote a best-selling book about it, Fitness Confidential, and it was this old Italian guy took me into his garage gym, and he he taught me everything there was to know about health and fitness. And by the time I was 12 or 13, I was bench pressing a couple of 100 pounds. They would take me to Baton Rouge to, I don't know if you remember, Boyer Co., a great
Okay.
bodybuilder. They would
Hmm.
take me to the, to Red Laurel's gym and all the stuff in Baton Rouge. I was living down in Louisiana. And it's like, we have a 12-year-old kid here. He's going to bench press 2 1/4. And everybody's like, it's bullshit. Right. And then I would do it, and everyone would just, it's because I was working with a guy who really understand how all of this stuff works. But then I was a gym rat. So as I stayed in the gym and then I opened a gym with that guy, he opened Joe's Health Club in my hometown and I worked there for free. Right. And we kind of like you gladiators, I was working for free, but I was in a gym all day anyway. Right.
Yeah.
And, and then I would notice when I would go to the Baton Rouge gyms as soon as I got my license, whenever competition time came around. So these bodybuilders would always have big muscles, but they were smooth and they had distended guts. And
Hmm.
competition time would come around. And I made note when I was like 16 years old, I went, competition's coming up. I can smell it,
Yeah.
right? The gym smells different,
Yeah.
literally smells different, folks, because these guys would stop eating all carbohydrates.
Yep.
And they would get that ketosis smell, and they would start painting shit on their bodies, which had a chemical smell to it. So a gym would take on a different smell right before competition time.
Okay, I'm going to add to that smell, and
Go
that
on.
is that is this. When you deplete those carbohydrates that we used to do, carb depleting for 5 days, they gave you one day to where you could carb load.
Right.
Okay. When you carb load, guess what that did to your body? You know what it did. it created so many gases in your stomach and in your intestines. And then that would come out in the gym, and you just walk past these guys and go, whoa.
And it was bad, by the way. It
And
was
it was
bad.
bad. It was like sulfur,
Yeah. It's, yeah. And everyone's, oh, he's eating eggs. It's like, yeah, but and by the way, that, and look, a lot of times whenever I would do shoots, and if you go online and look up me, you'll see a bunch of them, oh, this guy was ripped to shreds, right? One of the things is I would use that method to shred up, right? And then right before we would shoot, I would squirt honey in my mouth and drink a lot of water, and it would cause vascularity, because now all of a sudden your blood pressure would go up, and I would be ripped out and had veins everywhere. And people go, does he walk around like that? And then at some point I said, I wonder if people can walk around like this. And that's when I started with my clients around 1992, 93, when I just started pulling all grains out of their diets. And it made me famous around Hollywood, because I became known as the quick weight loss guy.
Right.
Right. You needed to get weight off of someone. This was the guy. Playboy used me for Playmates. The movie industry used me. At first, they were using me for actresses who did a movie, and they planned to have a kid right when the movie ended. They would have the kid, and now they have to go promote the movie, but they're not in shape. Right. So I got called in on a couple of those, and then started getting hired left and right. And then people started mentioning me on Jay Leno and Carson and everywhere else.
So
that was that.
how many, taking the grains out of their diet still, how many carbs a day would you have them eating?
Depending on what they were doing, I would have them strategically taking carbs, because people would just get, I'm stoic. I can do anything, right? But most people can't.
Right.
So I would have them use rice whenever they had to use rice, because it was one of the cleanest carbs, and I can dose that and see what it is, versus letting them have oatmeal in the morning and then pasta later on. I can't control that, right? But I can control an amount of rice. But it was
brown rice or white rice, or does it matter to you?
White rice. It doesn't matter, because when it gets to your liver doesn't go, oh, wait, Lori just gave me brown rice.
Right.
It's the same, the load, the glycogen load is identical.
Okay.
It's not that it's better, worse, or anything else. But then I got to the point where I started going, why do we need this at all? Right. And when I started doing ultra races on a bike, meaning I would be on a bike 500-600 miles at a time, right? My understanding that I learned at Tulane was you have to eat sugar. And I was one of those guys. I would use sugar on the bike to be able to ride 300, 400, 500 miles without stopping. And it's convenient. You can just squirt it in your mouth. Right. But at some point, when you ride for that long and you're on a bike for 24, 25 hours, your stomach can't take any more of that. Right. You start throwing up. Right. And that's when I started going, I wonder if I can eat more fat on the bike, because, we're not really going into zone 4. We're staying in zone 2.5 or 3. Right. Right. Turns out it works like a charm. And that's when I went, well, you could do this. Lori, before we did this, the reason my cheeks are still red, I was just on my rowing machine for 90 minutes. And in 90 minutes, I did 22,000 meters. Right. Okay. That's like a half a marathon on a rowing machine. And I have zero carbohydrates. I haven't had a carb.
Here's my question to you, though, Vinnie.
Right.
Like, okay, so what about the people with cholesterol issues? Or, I mean, with all that fat, this is my big issue with that is, like, I don't intake a lot of fat. Right. I don't intake a ton of carbs, to be honest with you. I don't think I do. Yet I'm still battling. I'd love to drop my cholesterol under 200, and I'm still at like 205. My good cholesterol is good. My good cholesterol is high, so my total always is around 205. My bad cholesterol is literally within range, but it's right on the top of the in range. You know what I'm saying? So I have to control those fats. Otherwise, my cholesterol goes high.
Let me explain this to you. I'm guessing you're telling me that good cholesterol is HDL and LDL is bad cholesterol?
Whatever the two, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lie that was created by the statin companies. And by the way, I'm not a tinfoil hat wearing guy.
Okay.
There are actual studies on this. There's no study that shows that there are people with cholesterols in the 300 and 400s total, and they will never, ever have any kind of heart disease. There's people with total cholesterol of 125 that will drop dead of a heart attack. And I've had this argument with cardiologists over and over and over because they will tell you high cholesterol is not good. When you say to a cardiologist, when you cut open, what are you pulling out? And they'll say plaques. Like, okay, so plaques clogs the arteries, right? Yes. Does cholesterol cause plaques? No, it doesn't. They will tell you the truth on that. So why are you cutting out? And it's like, well, plaques.
So then what's causing the
inflammation in the heart that comes from things like seed oils, the stuff they told you to eat, seed
Right.
oils, canola
Right.
oil, safflower oil, peanut oil, all that stuff.
Mhm.
That's what causes the problem. And then the cholesterol comes in, it's trying to clear the plaques out, right? So it's like going to a house that just burned down and you see the firemen rolling up their hoses and you go, every time I see a house burned down, I see firemen. Therefore, firemen must cause fires. It's the same with cholesterol. Now, that being said, there's about 3% of the population that has a type of lipoprotein within their LDL. And there's two lipoprotein, lipo A and lipo B. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Apo A and Apo B, right? So Apo A and Apo B within the low density lipid, that can cause heart disease. That's 3% of the population. So I would tell someone like you, who, by the way, you don't have high cholesterol, but if you wanted to really check, right? If you went to a doctor and said, do a lipid panel and I want to know what my small dense particles are. If the doctor says we don't do that test, find another doctor that does, because that doctor does not know how to actually look at your cholesterol. And then there's what we call the triad. It's HDL versus LDL versus triglycerides. What are your triglycerides on a daily basis?
No idea.
Exactly. People are walking around. Well, I could tell from the way you look. You keep yourself fit and lean, the whole thing, but you might be sitting at 150, 160, right? Triglycerides. I could tell you, my triglycerides barely ever see 60 or 70. Usually they're around 40. People who have type 2 diabetes, their A1Cs are 10, 11, 12. I can guarantee you their numbers, their triglycerides are 3, 4, 5, 600. I talk to these people every day. I do these consults, Lori. That's all I do. And that's where the problem is, right? It's not one thing, it's 3 or 4 different things that causes the problem. And to just look at cholesterol. So, and here's the other thing. You should look up a guy named Dave Feldman, who just put a study just came out, and it was, this is going to change the way the world looks at it. We just had it last week again. Dave was in my first movie, Fat, a documentary. You should watch that movie. You should watch, please watch Fat. You might want to have me on your podcast after that movie. I don't know what you think about.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll come on and talk about that movie. I'll talk about my book. I'll talk about the second movie or the third one.
Oh, absolutely. I've already thought of that. Just talking with you. And I'm like, oh, he's on my podcast. I got to have this guy
And
on.
Lori, let me tell you this. You were talking about that twin study.
Yeah.
That study is cooked.
Tell me what you mean by that.
That's done by the same people who put out movies like Game Changers and this kind of stuff. It's a vegan propaganda piece.
And it's funny you say that, because I was watching with my girlfriend last night on the couch, and she's just like, "Oh my God, this is like so much about climate change. This is so about political stuff. This has nothing to do with food."
She is so correct, because I'm the guy who first started saying on the Adam Carolla show, once guys like me came on the internet and started low carb, which then became keto, right? At first they called us all kooks, but then
Okay,
you
wait.
have
check this out. Hold on.
Go on.
I'm gonna interrupt you, and I
Go on.
apologize. I just
Please
looked
do.
up I just looked up my triglycerides on my last blood work. They're at 67.
Okay. You will never die of heart disease. I would tell you to look out for buses because you can get hit by a bus and die, but you will never die from heart disease.
He literally, I had a doctor actually tell me because my blood work, she was looking at my LDL and it was like at 113. It should be below 100. You know, your total should be below 200. And she was like, well, you know, you probably have genetically heart disease kind of thing. And so she literally tried to scare the shit out of me.
Lori, go. I can introduce you to doctors you can talk to
I love that.
and get it straight because that's all I do here is I bring the truth to people. Though, all right. So my third documentary is called Beyond Impossible
Mm-hmm.
because all of a sudden, all this climate change stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I started saying, wait a minute. Once guys like me started proving tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people started losing gazillions of pounds, they couldn't use that as an excuse anymore. So they changed the story. They went, wait a minute, cow farts ruining the ozone layer.
Yeah, but cow farts and burps, cow burps.
Okay. So, all right. So they're saying ruminants ruin the ozone layer. Guess what, Peter? You got to go kill Bambi because that's a ruminant. You got to start killing all the deer because if that's what's causing it, it hasn't caused a problem throughout eternity.
Yeah.
But, by the way, when nothing but buffalo were roaming the land, ruminant, what those farts didn't count?
They didn't count.
We're only counting farts. So I look into this stuff and I go, wait a minute. You get your girlfriend tonight. You guys cuddle up on a couch. Is this your girlfriend or?
Yeah, my girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay. You guys cuddle up on the couch. Get yourself some Haagen-Dazs because that's what you're a lesbian. I know you're a lesbian. I saw that somewhere. Get yourself some Haagen-Dazs because that's what lesbians do.
Chocolate chip.
Yeah. There you go. See, I knew, right? See, I know lesbians. My first girlfriend was a lesbian.
Hey, I only allow myself to eat it like once a year. I don't know why. I'm just not a big ice cream eater.
We're talking about your girlfriend or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Oh, that's horrible. Debbie, don't cut that out.
That was good, though. That was good.
Okay.
I'll give you that one.
All right. So, no, you're 60. You guys aren't having sex anymore. So,
oh, no. On the contrary.
Really?
No. We've got hormones going on. I've got my hormones. I've got my testosterone. She's 42. She went to my hormone doctor. She said she has chronic anxiety. So she said, your body's trying to go into menopause early. She put her on a little bit of testosterone. Boom, anxiety went away. Both sex drives are at the highest. And we're just like 25-year-olds. Are you kidding?
Hang on.
That's the myth right there. 60-year-old women, they still love and enjoy sex. It's like 3 times a week. Easy. I don't know where that myth comes from. It's from their hormone levels.
Well, here's the thing. My wife is 62 and we still get at it. Right. It's not 3 times a week because I just don't have that kind of time. And I think she would just get a divorce if that became the deal. But yeah, I have guys 45 and 50 going, well, are you still having sex? It's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, I'm not taking anything. I had leukemia, so I refuse to even take HRT or any of it, because I just got lucky. I'm still alive. Right. But, and my wife, one of her sisters had, the problem with the boobs and the whole thing. And so she refuses to take any hormones.
See, I don't believe in that. I'm just like, I'm on the opposite end of that. It's like,
talking
about food. I'm all about the female hormones.
Well, we would probably take some hormones if we felt like we could. I don't want to get cancer again.
I totally get it.
It almost killed me. And she has it in her family and she's like, I'm not touching it either. But you know what? If we ever stop fucking, maybe I'll say, honey, my friend Ice over there, Lori Fetrick, she was telling me, she was like, hit a little Anavar and you'll be fine.
So that's funny you say that, but no, I agree with everything you're saying. It's really interesting. I find all of this so fascinating, and so many more people need to know about what's going on in the world with their foods and the fats and the carbohydrates and, like you said, the seed oil. And the industries try to scare the shit out of us.
Well, and that's why I do this. Say again?
I said, whatever their agenda may be, you
Well,
know?
we can only guess, but as I said in Fata documentary, it's like they're not out to get you. They're just out to make money, you
Yep.
or how they make money. But in the third movie, Beyond Impossible, I started looking around and it's like, wait a minute. They're explaining to me that Beyond Burgers and Impossible Meat is actually better for you and better for the environment. And I'm sitting there going, what can be better than actual animal protein? And how can this be better for the environment? So I just started digging, right? I was like, okay, all of these ingredients start off in China. So something has to be spewed into the ozone layer to make this shit in China.
Mhm.
Then they have to somehow, through locomotion, whether it's a plane, a ship, or something, they need to get it to the United States. So now we got more stuff going off into the ozone layer. And when we
Exactly.
get it here, we have to make this stuff right here. More shit going off into the ozone layer. How can this possibly be better than meat? That was my premise to start Beyond Impossible. I think you and your girlfriend will love that movie. You should watch Fat first, Fat a documentary.
Okay. We'll
You could
watch that
probably
first.
watch it. You could probably watch it for free somewhere.
Okay.
It might be on Tubi, but you'll have to. But Amazon, you can watch it. Sometimes it's free on Amazon. Sometimes they charge. I
Okay.
don't know how that works. iTunes. You can see all my movies are everywhere.
Okay.
So you know, go watch them, and then we'll do a podcast. I'm begging you to let me be on your podcast because
Oh, you don't need to beg.
I'm in
I'm
love
I'm
with you.
scheduling you.
Okay. No, I'm so in love with you that I think that if Serena fell off a cliff and your girlfriend died, we could probably be a couple. I'm just guessing.
And
I'll
you're pretty handsome. I mean, if my girlfriend passed away too, I mean, I could flip to the other side. It's okay.
look, we don't have to have sex, but you can still go do what you
Oh no,
want.
we're gonna have sex. Oh
Okay.
no.
Well, folks, you heard it. I'm going to get rid of a Bond girl and I'm going to end up in bed with a gladiator. Come on. It doesn't get any better than that. It
Oh,
doesn't.
that's
So, since we're talking about how sexy we both are,
of
uh,
course.
I want to look back in the day, you were jacked. You looked great.
Yes.
By the way, you still look great.
Thank you.
But I'm talking about when you were, you had all the symmetry and the whole thing. I was down at Gold's Gym in those days. I saw all of you guys. I saw Ray was always down there. I don't know if people know who Ray Hollett was, but she was kind of a figure down there.
Yeah.
Corey Everson was still going down. I thought she was beautiful. Her
Oh,
sister
she's
used to give
gorgeous.
me the eye. You remember Cameo?
Yes.
She used to
Oh,
give me the eye in the gym. And I was like, I have a steadfast rule, never date from the gym because then you got to go find a new gym.
yeah, you do.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, I want to ask Cameo out so badly, but she probably won't go out with me anyway. And I just never did it. But I
Right.
think, but all of you guys were down there and I mean, you were jacked. So
Hmm.
obviously some hormones back in those days.
I mean, I was competing, I was going nationals, I wanted to go pro really bad. And, I was 25 and I had a trainer and absolutely. I mean, I dabbled in the steroid industry. I mean, that's no secret. I did it in my competition days. As soon as my competition days were over and I got gladiators, I mean, that's where I stopped all the steroids. I didn't need them any longer. I wasn't going to compete. I didn't need to
Yeah.
be that jacked. As a matter of fact, I needed a little fat on my body to soften me up a little bit to
Yeah.
be on television, which is interesting. So over the years, going through this, just trying to keep my body as close as I could, to that level that I've seen it and I want it, and even the age factor. I look in the mirror sometimes and just go, "Oh my God, holy shit, 60." The number doesn't match how I
Yeah.
feel. I feel
Right.
30. I feel 30. I have the energy. I can out train so many people. I'm going every day. But a lot of I think to where what going back, I'm going to go back to where your original statement at the very beginning of this podcast, you're like, holy shit, how do you look the same way you look now? I mean, how do you look so good?
Yeah.
And I really contribute that to a healthy lifestyle, exercising every day. I mean, it's consistency, as you know.
Yeah.
It's not just, okay, let's start for 3 months, 6 months, and then we stop for a year. I mean, I have actually been super consistent from the day I started training. I haven't missed a beat. You know, I might go a little less to the gym now, 3, 4 days a week rather than 7, you
Right.
know. But I try to keep my nutrition up. I try to keep, everything as clean as I can, drinking water, staying de-stressed, as much as I can.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I'm not also, it's no secret also. I do a lot of anti-aging things as much as I can. I'll get a little Botox in my forehead and, around the eyes, a little filler here and there. But other than that, um, I try to keep my skin, I stay out of the sun now. I was a sun worshiper all the way up until I was 40.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I had not been, of course, but so that's just a healthy lifestyle and consistency.
So did it start with bodybuilding or were you an athlete as a kid?
Started with my parents because my mom was a health food nut when I was growing up.
Right.
She ruined cookies. Like she would try to put wheat germ and all this stuff in cookies. She wouldn't let us eat any kind of sugary, cereals in the morning. It was always like the shredded wheats and things like that. And she cooked every night. We were never a fast food household. We never ate frozen food ever. My mom cooked every single night. And my dad, I remember my dad being in the backyard. He had his little bench out there and he was lifting weights. And I saw old Muscles and Fitness, magazines laying around the house. So I grew up in this environment.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge, thing to where it's like nowadays I'll watch families and it's mind blowing. I'll go to the beach and I'll just see a family that's completely obese and yet their kids are obese. And I'm just like, you actually are this way. Why would you want to grow your kids up in this environment? And it's just mind blowing to me.
Well, I can explain why.
They
They
know no different.
they don't know any different. My wife and I we were in the beach this past summer. We were in Florida. My nephew was getting married in Florida, and so we were down there, and we went down to the beach, and we're sitting under an umbrella because obviously we can't be out in the sun anymore either. We're old people, and and at some point I said because all I care about is getting America lean again. I don't think people are lazy. I don't think fat shaming will ever work.
No.
I'm on the side of the morbid obese, right? And that's what I've been working to correct my entire life because everyone else in my family is morbidly obese. I feel this every day. These are the people I love. And I'm at the beach and I said to my wife after about an hour, I said, find someone of average weight. And she
Mm.
finally, after about 10 minutes, it was a young couple. Obviously, they go to the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he had big chest, big legs. She was, had some muscle on her. And I said, yes. But back in our day, they would have been considered fat because she had extra fat around the waist. He had a big
Yep.
gut on him and the whole thing. They were trying to do something about it. But as I tell everyone, just working out is a horrible way to lose weight. It all starts in the
Mhm.
kitchen. It all starts with eating the right food. And that's the one thing, here I am in Florida, and I can't find the thin person, which
That's
is very,
insane.
very sad.
That's
And
insane.
they say, oh, just, they used to say it's 25%, and then they said it's 35%. Now they're saying we're over 45% morbid
Oh,
obesity. We're
yeah.
not going in the right direction. And it bothers
No.
me on levels you cannot imagine because we will break under the weight of our own weight financially. We cannot keep up with this. We already can't keep up with Medicare, Medicaid. Our military, you know how many military people I talk to per week?
Oh,
They're in
probably a lot.
Fallujah, they're here, they're there, they're all over the world, and they're calling, going, "Hey, man, how do I navigate this with the food they're giving us?" It's almost impossible because of what they're
It's
getting.
insane. They can't. They can't. It's it's funny. Let me ask you this, Vinny, because as you're going down this road about city and everything else, and we're going in the wrong direction, I am so 100% on your side. It bothers me to no end, and especially in the last 3 years. What they've been promoting is they're promoting obesity. They're taking out the Victoria's Secret models and putting obese women in there to make other people feel okay. And I'm just like, no, 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 you're going in the wrong direction. And it bothers me so much that it's just like, it's our, I mean, it's almost like there's no words to describe how not our generation, but I mean, the world in the wrong direction and what they're promoting. And it's, okay, I'm not going to go in the full, they're trying to kill us off thing, but it's almost like, it's like they don't care. And you're right. It's all about money. You know, how much money can we make on these people, you know, and in the industries. So I feel the exact same way, and it's so bothering, and it's just unbelievable to me what they're promoting nowadays.
Well,
You know,
and look, I get pushback from, morbidly obese people, and they'll say, "Hey, man, why shouldn't we have people that look like us?" It's like, fine, but I'm with you. When we start making fat mannequins to put in stores, it's like when I was living in California, they decided that no one can pass a math test. So they said, all right, we're just going to lower what a passing score is. You
right?
didn't fix the problem. The problem is still there. You just moved the goalpost,
Yeah,
right? So when you do that, you're not going to get anywhere. And I always say when people go, well, as I always say, everyone will say, I love Lizzo. Lizzo is beautiful. But try to tell one woman, oh my God, you're beautiful. You look like Lizzo, and see what she has to say about that.
I know, right?
Right? Yeah. Okay. You want to sit here and say Lizzo is beautiful? Great. I'm fine with that. Lizzo is beautiful. And by the way, I think she's very talented. I've heard some of her stuff. I
Yeah,
heard her play the crap out of a flute. This woman is very talented. But
yes.
don't sit here and tell me that she's healthy,
No, no,
because now we're just fucking lying.
I know. And yet, oh my God, I saw a TikTok video. I'm sorry. It was, I had to smile. I actually did more than smile. I kind of laughed. The TikTok video is, they start showing all of these overweight, obesity women that were having these different shows about how healthy they are, you
Right.
know, and this one TikToker went on, and there was like 4 to 5 of these, and she'd show a little clip and she goes, and she's dead. The next one, she'd go, he died. And it was so on and so on. It was just like, oh my God. They're trying to say they're so healthy. I always say, be comfortable in your own skin. I'm a
Yeah.
big promoter of that as well. Be comfortable in your own skin and who you are. But don't try to sit here and tell me that if you're weighing 275 pounds that you're healthy. You
Right.
can't. There's
No,
just no.
you and I were separated at birth. I guarantee you that. Because I saw that same video, and the girl was being flipped. She goes, Dad.
Exactly. I
Dad.
didn't want to be so
Yeah.
crass
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
But
Right.
she was right. It's like, and look, I mean, I feel bad during the pandemic, early on in the pandemic, and I stay away from pandemic talk because it just it's still divisive.
Mhm.
But early on, I kept saying to my wife, I think the only people that are dying are old people, and they're just not talking about it. And then at some point, my wife says to me, because my wife is British,
Mhm.
and she goes, she reads the BBC, she reads, the foreign news and the whole thing. She goes, oh, look, you're always saying it's old people. They're saying this woman was 38 years old and she was perfectly healthy. And I said, give me that. And I grabbed her phone out of her hand, and I looked at it and said, honey, this woman weighs at least 400 pounds.
Oh,
So I don't want to hear that she was perfectly healthy at 38 years old.
right.
Now, look, folks, don't write to me. I get it. A lot of people died at the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm sure your loved one who was very thin died also. But the majority of people who died, old age in and of itself is a comorbidity.
Yeah.
Comorbidity means that all you need is one other thing and you're out of here,
Yeah.
right? Morbid obesity, it's right in the title. It
Yes.
says morbid obesity.
Yes.
And by the way, that number is much lower than what you think it is, right? Back when I was in high school, my best friend was the fattest guy in my class, Phil Callahan. He weighed about 220, 6 foot 220. He was the fattest guy in the class. We had one
Wow.
fat guy,
Yeah.
right? Today, he would be considered athletic.
100%.
It's changed that much. And all I'm saying is, let's just get back to where people are normal and healthy. I'm the first guy, I coined this and then it's gone around the internet. But I used to say this on the Adam Carolla show, and when you say it on a show that big, then it gets talked into existence. I said to Adam early on, I think this is why he ended up liking me and bringing me on so much. I said, look at pictures from Woodstock, 1969. These are not athletes. These are guys drinking beer. Half the people are half naked, bikinis, the whole thing. Every guy there had abs, yet not one big box gym existed. Gold's Gym didn't exist back then.
Nope.
There was no health food, this, that, and the whole thing. There was no Guthrie Ranker selling you all kinds of shit. These were just people eating normal food, and they had abs, right?
Yeah.
Now, go to any triathlon, any long distance triathlon. These are people who just swam 2 point something miles. They just rode 110 miles on a bike, and they just completed a marathon. Go there after the pros come through in about 8.5 hours. Get there at about the 12-hour level. These are people who can ride, run, and swim into perpetuity. And they don't look as good as the people from Woodstock 1969. I rest my case, Your Honor.
I agree. You're absolutely 100% correct. Absolutely.
Just tell me I'm correct. I really want to be married to you.
Dude, I could sit here and talk to you about this for hours.
Me too, but I know you have to go get your hair done.
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm wearing a baseball hat today.
Yeah, by the way, let's talk about that. You have merch. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Brag about ICE for a minute.
Let me brag about myself for a moment. Well, in the last 30 years, after the Gladiators ended, I started, I was an entrepreneur. I opened up my own gym, as a matter of fact. I had it down in Orlando. I opened it, ran it for about 5 or 6 years. And then I came home, I sold that, came home, opened up a tanning salon for a while, went into real estate. So I was doing the average entrepreneur thing, businesses all throughout the 30 years. And then all of a sudden somebody comes up with, let's do a documentary on the American Gladiators. So there was 2 documentaries out there. One was ESPN. That was, okay, did not do that. But the next one was Netflix. That came out, end of June 2023. We have a 5-part series laying on Netflix that kind of rebooted, and this is where the second act of Lori Fetrick / ICE is coming into play. So that just took off. From that, I have my podcast, which is Chillin' with ICE, and that's a weekly show. I have that also on my YouTube channel. From that, doing a lot of personal appearance signings now at Comic-Cons, meet and greets. Also a children's book coming out, Playground Warriors. That's going to be a lot of fun. Animation following it. There's a possibility of a small little tour, which would be a lot of fun. It's not necessarily a tour. It's more of a meet and greet kind of thing. And I have my merch store, which is icetshirts.com. It's ICE shirts, by the way. Yeah, I had to put that one out there. So the merch store is doing well. It's a lot of fun. It's just my own personal little, touch on things. And next year is going to be, this year, I can't believe we're already in 2024. Damn, time is flying. Yeah. What happens? We get older and time goes faster.
Let me tell you something. All right. Let me blow your mind right now. Okay. Think back to when you were 40. You feel like you can almost touch it, right? It's like,
dude, I sat with the Gladiators and interviewed him, and we were talking about times 35 years ago, and it felt like yesterday.
Yeah. So if you can touch 40, I was still racing mountain bikes when I was 40, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And here we are at 60. So you know how quickly we're going to be at 80?
Oh, no, don't say that.
I know, but that's what blows my mind. It's like,
I know.
I can still smell 40 from where I'm sitting.
Yes.
And we're careening into 80.
Oh.
It's
Let me ask you this. How long you want to live? What's your thing? Are you all about like longevity? Are you about quality? What is your thing?
I want to live as long as I can healthily, because if things start to go bad for me, I'm taking myself out. I do not want to I love life.
I do too.
I love life. I shoot every morning. I shoot skeet. I got to skeet.
Oh, that's so much fun. I wish you lived near me. I'd go with you.
Oh, if you and your wife are invited to, are you wife or boy or girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Okay. You guys are invited to come visit whenever you want. I'm in Virginia. Come stay
Oh,
with us as long as you want because we got nothing but room here. And, I do everything I want to do all the time. Like last year, I do my New Year's resolutions. I built a wooden kayak last year, right? It's like your whole life you go through and you go, one day I'm going to sit around and build a wooden kayak.
right.
And then here I am 60. And I was like, wait a minute, where's my wooden kayak?
I got to build a wooden kayak today.
Honey, you know what got me doing it? I was watching an 80s movie with Rob Lowe,
Yeah.
and he was driving a Porsche Carrera, red convertible.
Yeah.
And I was on my spinner and I was watching. It's like, you know what? I always wanted one of those. And I'm going to go get one of those. Right. So,
Rob Lowe's, he's aged really well.
yeah, you know what? I'm straight, but I would do him. I mean,
Yeah,
he's hot, right? Yeah.
he is handsome at his age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. So that's not gay, by the way. Rob Lowe, that's not gay.
That's not gay. That's just being very comfortable with your sexuality.
Yeah, I know who I am.
Exactly.
So I got off the bike and I started researching for a day or two how to get one of these cars. I was going to get one and fix it up and do the whole thing and all this kind of stuff. And then I thought to myself, I said, wait a minute. I'm not a Porsche guy.
You're a Corvette guy.
Yeah, I'm all American, baby. So, I was like, I'm not a Porsche. Once I get a Porsche, then I gotta, what's next? I'm gonna join a country club. I'm not a country club guy. I'm not that guy. So I started thinking, what kind of guy am I at 60? And I
You're
came,
wooden kayak.
it's like, I didn't really want the Porsche. I wanted something. I wanted to do something. I didn't want to own something else. Right. So I said, okay, I'm not going to get a Porsche. I'm going to build a kayak. I'm going to send you pictures of this kayak. We're going to.
I want to see this kayak. I want to do that.
Right after the show. We're going to trade phone numbers. I'm going to send you
You
pictures.
got it. I would love that.
Yeah, and you're willing to
I
come.
can invite you on my podcast.
Yeah, we're going to do all the things. But here's the thing. We're not getting any younger, so you got to do everything right now, right?
Yes.
All the time. That's what I tell everyone is this is not a dress rehearsal.
No.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Because if Lori Fetrick can look back 35 years with her friends and go, wait a minute, we were fucking on a tour bus, because I saw it. I saw the documentary right when it came out. I watched all 5 of them in one night. Serena said, wait, it's 3 a.m. It's like, I was watching Gladiators, honey. You got to see this. And she was like, oh, just go to bed. Just leave me alone. But I watched all of them that night.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I don't binge anything. But I felt like I knew you guys because I was the whole time I was sitting there going, I was in their situation, but not them, right? Yes. I had people trying to get me for nothing.
Yes.
And these people took the bad deal, right?
Yeah.
Is everybody okay? Did everyone turn out okay? You've turned out okay.
Pretty much on the most part, they have. I mean, unfortunately, we've lost some gladiators. We lost Billy Smith, which is Thunder. We lost him right after the ESPN documentary.
Oh.
Obviously we lost Siren. She was, suffering from a very, very bad case of bipolar.
Yeah.
We lost her. We lost Lee Rareman, which was Hawk. Now that was a weird loss because he went in for hip surgery. We all thought that he was in the clear, and then sure enough, boom, blood clot to the heart.
Oh.
Just the off the wall kind of thing for him. So we lost Hawk. Who else have we? Marissa Pere, you're talking about Lace. We can't find her.
Really?
We've done an extensive search. We don't think she's dead, and I don't know. We have no idea. Literally MIA.
In today's world, it's the one you cannot find.
Nope, cannot. unless we literally hired a private investigator to really search and search and search, find out. So her, but that's why when the documentary came out, we're like, dude, man, we better do this soon before we're all gone.
Yeah. So who actually did it? Did you get paid for it? Who actually
Yeah,
worked?
we did. We got paid for the documentary, and that's why we did not do the ESPN documentary at first, because obviously the owner of the trademark Gladiators came to us and said, they're doing a documentary about me. We're like, no, they're not. They're doing it about us. You just want us to be on it. And he goes, oh, and by the way, you're not going to get paid. And so that's why I was like, no way. I'm not. I mean, 30 years later, you're not going to do this to us again. So I pulled the team together and I was just like, I don't know. How are you guys going to feel about this? If you're sitting on the couch, and I didn't even really honestly think about Netflix at the time, but I said, what if you're sitting on the couch and it ends up on Netflix and everybody's making thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars and you still can't even pay your mortgage? How would you feel?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Okay. So we held out, and so Netflix came along, and yes, we got paid for that. Thank God. But most of the Gladiators, I mean, I'm getting text messages this morning because we're getting we're getting offers to do, Comic-Cons and stuff. And it's still the same thing, Vinny. It's still like, can we get them for nothing? It's just like, come on, people. So, Jim Star Laser, I love him. Nitro, we're still tight. Tower, Zap, Diamond, Dallas, the rest of them across the board, they're doing well.
Good.
So yeah, it's a nice, what's so nice about that documentary, Vinny, is that it actually brought us together again. And we had so much fun, as you saw in the documentary, especially on the tour. It was grueling, it was tiring, but yet we became a really good, tight family for a while. So the documentary brought us back together again. So it's kind of like our little second and third act going forward. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to enjoy every second, live in the moment as much as I can, milk it as much as I can, and just, continue on and have that great, happy life.
Yeah, look, there's ways to make money with the Comic-Con type thing. Don't just settle for any deal they give you. You know that. You're too nice.
Oh, I know. Are you kidding?
Know,
They want to fly us to Lithuania for like no money. And I was like, why would I go there for no money? But you'll make so much money signing. Give us a guarantee then.
yeah. Look, Serena, we go to places like Oslo and different places, and for Bond Girl conventions, and
Yeah.
it's like, look, you want them to show up, and they're
Hey,
dying every day, right? These Bond girls die all the time, and
yeah.
half the ones at the thing, when you're backstage with them before they go out to the thing, they're like knitting stuff. Their 80-year-old grandmother showing you their grandkids and great grandkids. They don't, Octopussy don't look the way she did back in the day. Right?
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
you're
awesome.
hanging out with all these old British women, and
Yeah.
they're old British grandmothers, and they're still going to these things, but they've all figured out how to make as a matter of fact, I'm not going to mention. I'll mention it. Fuck it. I usually don't mention my clients. Jonathan Frakes, who was part of the whole what was the thing Shatner was on? Not Star
Trek?
Wars, but
Star
huh?
Trek?
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek. Yeah.
So Frakes was on Star Trek, the movies and all that, right? And so whenever they go do Comic-Con and all these conventions, they make X amount of money.
Oh, they make a lot of money.
But they make a lot of money. But if Shatner shows up,
Yeah.
the money triples for everyone.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy because Shatner barely. Shatner was another client of mine. I usually don't mention clients, but
Yeah.
you know, that's just the way it works.
I know it is. And
It's crazy.
you can make some nice money off Comic-Con. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But you're right. I don't take every deal that comes across the table because it's not a deal.
Yeah. It's only a deal if we're both comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Let's make that the final word because I want to say goodbye to you off the air before you go get your hair done.
Thank you.
Folks, you know what to do. We all go shopping on Amazon. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com, click through the banner. It puts coal on the fire, gets my train down the track. This is coming out next week. We've opened up the VinnieTortorich.com/VIP again. Go right now and sign up. If you don't sign up, we're closing it in a few days. And as you know, I may not open it up again for a couple of months. I decided to open it up in January because so many people asked me to. You want to sign up, VinnieTortorich.com/VIP. Go there right now, sign up. Don't mess around. Now, besides doing that, you want to go to check out everything Lori Fetrick has going on. Lori, tell them where to go to find you.
They can find me at LoriFetrick.com. That is LORI, F as in Frank, ETRICK.com. It has my merch store. It has my podcast. It has all my personal appearances where I'm going to be throughout the year. If anybody wants me, they can sign up and, contact me directly. My podcast is Chillin' with Ice, which is on all platforms across, podcast world. But yeah, that's pretty much those two things right there.
Look, folks, when I'm done with this podcast, the first thing I'm going to do is go buy myself an Ice t-shirt so that you guys can see me with the Ice t-shirt on. And I'm going to probably get myself a hat. I'm not going to get that white hat because I'm going to
I got a black one. I got a black hat.
I'm going to get the black ice. You see? Black
ice. Exactly. Oh, I have another one. It's kind of cool. It's called OG Gladiator. OG, original Gladiator.
I'm going to go get myself some merch right after this. And by the way, look down in the show notes. Debbie or Leona or someone's going to put all of this in the show notes so that you guys can get it. So hang on, Lori, because after we play a little music, I want to say goodbye to you off the air. Folks, on behalf of Lori Ice Fetrick, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living, and let's do it with this guy